Reddit Martian back with another tip-top video for you. r/AskReddit. Serious, Redditors who have been on a gamma shower any contest on TV. What were some behind the scenes rules that they tell you before they send you out before the cameras? I auditioned for Wipeout. They were only interested in people that acted literally insane. Are you ready to go crazy? I am already hearing voices. You're hired. On The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, before we went into the seating area, they told us to laugh out loud at the jokes. It was upsetting. Oh god. When I went, the warm-up guy singled me out and just told me to practice a loud laugh. It felt so awkward. Yup. I got singled out by an audience wrangler for Maury because I was chewing gum. He had everyone boo me. I will never forget this. Regis is dumb. Regis does not have the answers until we show them after you've locked in your answer. If you are working through an answer and you think he's making faces to guide you, remember, there's as much chance that he's going to help as there is that he's making that face because he's relieving himself. Regis is dumb. Was at a taping of a food eating contest. They brought out this big burger and the guy acted like he started chowing down on it. About 4 bites in, they turn the cameras off and throw half the food out and start filming again and getting us to chant one more bite. Edit, it wasn't man versus food, so you guys can sleep easy. It was some show for CMT, believe it or not. It was about 3 years ago and I actually never saw it air on TV. Funny side note though, the woman who was directing us stared at me the entire time when she was talking. It seemed sensual too. Also, I yelled roll tide as loud as I could a couple of times because they wanted to crowd to Scene Country. Edit 2. Holy shit, this blew up. I've seemed to struck a nerve with my fellow Obama fans. Yes, I know how to spell tide and I'm actually an Obama fan myself. Chill and stop making us look worse. And the reason I did what I did. Cash cab. It is not completely random. They stopped me on the street and asked if I wanted to be on a show about the city. Me and some friends would go to a location and talked about current events. They set up a phone interview to test subjects' knowledge, really to gauge question knowledge. I was told to arrive at a location to film with a friend. When I got there, they said a band was playing on a patio nearby affecting their sound levels. They hailed us a cab and said it would take us to the new location. Boom, lights and cameras as soon as we got in. I'm impressed at how far they went to actually make it feel somewhat spontaneous. You knew you were doing something. But, in theory, the cash cab part was a surprise. Cool. I tried out for Jeopardy once. They said they deliberately make the qualifying questions much harder than what you see on the show because 1. They want to find people who are actually smart and not just lucky, and 2. People get kinda stupid when you put a TV camera on them. I auditioned to be on the show Wipeout. I found out they specifically look for people with something extremely unique about them and / or people who are willing to make a fool of themselves on TV. They are not interested in athletic people who might actually have a chance of completing the course. That is what Ninja Warrior is for. I've worked as staff and a producer on a few game shows. Here's a big one people don't realize. No one actually wins money until the TV show airs. If your episode never airs, you won't get anything. I won 8 grand on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Backstage, they gave a lot of tips and one serious warning. The tips were use your Ask the Audience lifeline early. It's best if you use it first, and you don't want to use it on the hard questions. The logic is you're on the show and they're not, so it's likely you know more than the people in the audience. The harder the question, the less likely they are to be helpful. Another tip was talk out your answer and listen to the audience reaction. If you say you're leaning toward one answer, and everyone gasps really loudly, you should at least reconsider your answer. A lady who went after me didn't do this and wound up blowing it before she even got to the save point, so she went home with nothing. They also said do not joke around with the final answer phrase. There's a guy in the control booth who is listening just for those words. If he thinks you said it, he hits a button. and you are locked in, even if you were just kidding. Finally, they told us that the questions are generated by a company that has nothing else to do with the production company. That is, the questions are not generated in-house. A company in another part of town comes up with them and delivers them on CDs. The guys in the production booth just grab one off the stack and put it in for each new contestant. They have no idea what's on them. They told us all this to make the point that if you feel like you've somehow been cheated, go ahead and sue. They take these precautions to ensure that if you do try to take them to court, you will lose. Anything else you all would like to know? Edit. Gold. What shall I do with my newfound wealth? Edit 2. A couple of other interesting rules they told us. First, we were not allowed to wear any clothes with a visible logo. Our outfits actually had to be screened by their legal department. I passed, but just before I went on, I was stopped by a stage manager who was concerned that the shirt I was wearing, the simple as 3.141592 inches shirt from Mental Floss, was really some kind of advertisements for a bakery. The other thing they warned us about was singing. They said they needed to know if you sang to yourself when thinking, or if you might burst into song upon getting a correct answer. If you sing more than a specific amount of a song, notes, lyrics, or something, they had to pay royalties. So that was a no-no. I was on Jeopardy a few years ago. Everything seemed on the up and up to me. In the green room beforehand, they even brought in a lawyer and said that he would be there the whole time, and we could speak to him anytime if we had any concerns, even during a taping. The other interesting thing was that one of the contestant coordinators said, "We're not going to tell you how to play the game, but the stats show that everyone ends up with more money at the end if you start at the top of a category and go straight down. To discourage daily double hunting and random category jumping like that one guy did last season. You could really see the disdain Alex Trebek has for that guy when he jumped around." I went to a taping of an Indonesian game show called Hari Anda. They really had no rules. Everyone fills in a card when signing in. The host draws a card out of a bowl. If you're called up, you go up and play. The game was simple. There's boxes with prizes inside for every day of the year. You either pick your birthday and they open the box for that day, or you spin a wheel. It sounds lame, until you realize the whole show's purpose was to create an underground gambling scene in a Muslim country. There are people betting on which dates would come up, and whether or not someone would pick the wheel or the boxes. I was 12 at that time, won a motorcycle, and my parents quickly sold it away before I got any crazy ideas. I was on a magic show filmed for the CW Big production. I found myself backstage before the show began, and a magician and a PA approached me because I was the right build for a special jacket he had, and they asked if I would be in the show. I said hell yeah, as long as there are no tigers. They told me I would raise my hand when they asked for volunteers and that I had to act really surprised when the dude called me out. Then they would do a little charade and steal my wallet. Once I got up there it had nothing to do with my wallet. Ran around with him for like 10 minutes and tied up his assistant and shirt. And then they did this disappearing act with me and his assistant in a tube and she came out tied wearing the special jacket. 'Twas fun. I went to Jerry Springer a while back when it was still in Chicago. On TV it looks like it's a free-for-all but everything is planned. That random guy yelling from the audience? That's one of the producers. They make it clear you're only supposed to respond to the producer's cues. Also if there's going to be a fight they kinda freeze frame it and clear the stage before they go at it. It looks seamless after editing but they actually move the chairs away so they don't trip. I was at a taping of The Price is Right. During the commercial break, Drew Carey talked to the crowd a lot and gave a lady a lap dance because it was her 90th birthday. I was a lifeline on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. We were prepped, the 5 of us that were the chosen lifelines, and in this prepping there was no mention about Googling. In other words, it was understood that using the 30-second window to Google the question would be acceptable. Many people wonder this, I think, so I thought I'd share. I went to the taping of an episode of Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition. It was the episode in Green Bay. We did a ton of reaction shots to nothing. Okay, everyone turn around and be excited about how amazing he looks, so we all turn around and cheer for nobody. Eventually the person who lost the weight came out, then went back and came out again. It was pretty funny. Also they gave out McDonald's gift cards to the crowd, which was weird because it's a weight loss show. Giving out McDonald's gift cards guarantees a future pool of candidates. I sat in the audience for Australia's Got Talent auditions. There's only 3 things that were a little odd. Firstly, it takes about 20 minutes between each act to come on and audition in front of the judges. That got old real quick. Secondly, they pre-record samples of audience reactions in order to use it as extra footage. So before any auditions they got us all to give fake standing ovations / moderate clapping, awkward clapping, screaming, WTFing. The fat host guy started stripping on stage to get us to really give a good WTF face. We also had to boo. Lastly, they really know how to make a half-full theater look packed to the maximum. Sneaky cameras. Do you know what you are? That's right, you're a champ. Thanks for watching. Like and share if you enjoyed, don't forget the bell. Subscribe for more videos. See you soon, Martians.